All right, welcome to the first ever Family Fantasy Football Weekly Recap. All right, so this will be the first one we do. I mean, if you want me to keep doing it, no problem doing it. Commissioner should do it, but you know, it is what it is. So let's go over last week. So last week was week 4 for the NFL. Lots to talk about. So let's dive right in. Let's go and first let's look at the results of this week. Let's go and take a deep dive into each matchup. First matchup we will be looking at is Kevin versus Sean. What a matchup. 135 points to 122. Kevin with the victory, and that is the highest scoring game we have this week. So starting off with a bang. Lead scorer between the two of them was Deebo Samuel, 35 points. Monster game. He was also the highest. He had the highest points this week. So the highest scoring player right there. Very, very cool. The dud of this matchup, Tyler Lockett, only 6 points. Sums up with that. No good. And that was Kevin versus Sean. All right, moving on to Connor versus Chris. Score of 78 to 81. That was the lowest scoring game this week, so not fun to watch on that one. Their leading scorer was Jared Allen, only 19 points. So their biggest dud, Dalvin Cook, another 6 points. It says here that was the biggest dud this week. You would expect a lot of points from Dalvin Cook, and didn't get much done this week. All right, moving on to Sarah versus Mike. Big game. 93 points to 126. Mike with the... Oh, sorry. Last week, Chris won. Beat Connor. And this one, Mike beat Sarah 126 to 93. Their top scorer, Saquon Barkley, 29 points. So a very big game from Saquon Barkley. The dud of that game, that matchup, was Mike Williams with 2 points. So not great for Mike. Moving on to the next matchup, Papa Do versus Liv. I think, Liv pulling out the 146 to 92 win. That was the last undefeated team to go down. Livia is no longer undefeated. There are no undefeated teams left. Top scorer of that matchup was Austin Eckler, 28 points. Very good game. Dud of that matchup was the New Orleans defense, negative 3 points. It's not what you want. Not what you want right there. Not ideal. Moving on to the next matchup, Mark versus Steve. Steve getting the win, 161 to 113. Another very, very, very big game. All right, that actually might be the highest scoring game. Top scorer, tie. There was a tie. Pat Mahomes and DJ Moore, both with 31 points. Huge game from those two. The dud of that matchup was Juju Smith-Schuster, 3 points. Only 3 points. No good there. No good there. All right. That was it for the results of this week. Let's move on to some moves, trades, action of this week. So we have Mark's team digs in a blanket. He added tight end Knox. Looking at Papa Do, he added running back Damian Williams. Looking at Will Fuller has been dropped. So if you were looking for a wide receiver, Will Fuller has been dropped. Some huge trades. Papa Dude trades with Deshaun's Deep Massages, so Connor's team. He is sending Austin Eckler and Matt Stafford. Well, Papa Dude is sending Austin Eckler and Matthew Stafford to Connor for Derek Carr, Dalvin Cook, and Jamar Chase. So huge matchup. Huge trade there. Another trade. This one went through this week. So that the last trade I just mentioned will go through for this week. The trade I'm about to mention went through last week. And it was Sean trading with the good old boys. Sean is trading Ezekiel Elliott for Miles Sanders, Marvin Jones Jr., and Brandon Cooks. So another huge trade. And more trade news. Tyler Lockett is now available for trades if anybody is looking. And more news around the league. There were rules that were discussed for trades between between the majority of the league owners. I'm sorry, not the league owners, the team owners. And they tabled that discussion for the off season. So be very aware of that moving forward. Moving on to injuries. Let's take a look at some injuries. Don't have a complete in-depth look at injuries, but here's a list of players that you want to keep your eye out. David Montgomery, Jimmy G, Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, Sterling Shepard, Chase Claypool, George Kittle, Tyler Lockett, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Gibson. So if you have any of those players that we just mentioned, make sure you keep a very good eye on them. Could be hurt. All right, now we're taking a look at the next week's matchups. Well, current week's matchups. Who we will be playing this Sunday. Kevin versus Liv. We got that as the game of the week. 3-1 team versus a 3-1 team. Kevin has the 51% advantage so far. Players to watch. Keep an eye out for Darren Waller and also Zeke. He is going up against the Giants this week. So Zeke against the Giants could be a big game. Another matchup, we got Chris versus Sean. 3-1 team versus a 1-3 team. Chris got the 55% chance of winning. Players to watch are Kittle against the Arizona defense and also Deebo Samuel against the Arizona defense. Hoping for another huge game from Deebo. Another matchup we got is Mike versus Connor. And you would be surprised with who the projected winner of that one is. Connor with a staggering 62% chance of winning. Connor is 1-3 and Mike is 3-1. The players to watch for this matchup is Saquon versus Dallas and Stafford and Eckler. So I'd keep an eye out for Stafford and Eckler on the new team for Connor. See if they'll get him some points. Next matchup, we got Steve versus Sarah. Steve with the 60% chance of winning. The players to watch for there is Aaron Jones against the Cincinnati Bengals defense and Justin Herbert going up against Cleveland. Sarah is 0-4, one of the last team to not have a win. See if she can get one in the win column against Steve's 2-2 team. All right, taking a look at the last matchup we have this week, Mark versus Papadou. Papadou has the 53% win percentage. Both teams are 2-2. That could be the game of the week right there. Very even matchups right there. Players to watch for there, Patrick Mahomes and Derrick Henry. Very, very favorable matchups for them. Derrick Henry's looking for some bounce-back games. Dalvin Cook against Detroit. So they're talking about bounce-back games. Dalvin Cook is looking for a huge bounce-back game. All right. And I think the last thing we'll be taking a look at are the power rankings or the final standing movement. So playoff percentage, obviously power rankings. Everybody knows what power rankings are. Taking a look at first place, the good old boys, 96% chance of making the playoffs. In second place for the power rankings, we have low expectations. Second, 95% chance of making the playoffs. Third, we got Papadou, 63% chance of making the playoffs. Fourth, we got Team Illingsworth, very original, very creative name there. Team Illingsworth, fourth place, 68% chance of making the playoffs. Diggs in a Blanket, fifth place, 79% chance of making the playoffs. CD's Nuts, sixth place, 79% chance of making the playoffs. Deshaun's Deep Massages, seventh place, 64% chance of making the playoffs. Team Pup and Suds, eighth, 20% chance of making the playoffs. So a huge drop off here. So if this is one of your teams that are getting mentioned, I'd probably start turning things around very soon. So Team Pup and Suds, eighth, 20%. Team Young Ho, the Young Ho Kids, ninth place, 30% chance of making the playoffs. Then we got Sunnyside, 10th place, last place, fortunately the last team to have no wins, 6% chance of making the playoffs. So not looking too good down there, but upper half teams are killing it. And that was your family fantasy football recap. of the week. All right. Go, go, go fam. Go fam.